We continue now at the top of Daf Tzadi Daled Amud Aleph Meseches Shabbos. This is Shabbos Daf 94a. The Gemara quoted a brisa, and the brisa said that if a person carries food which is in a kli, and the person needs both the food and the kli, can be chayiv on both. And so the Gemara asked, what do you mean you're chayiv on both? You can't be chayiv two chatas. You're doing one, the same avera, behelam echad. Of course, you should be chayiv only one. That's the general rule. So Rav Sheshes here is in the middle of answering, and he says the case over here is sheshogag al ha'ochlin, that the brisa means you were shogeg, you did it by mistake when it came to carrying the food. Vehezid al hakli, and bemezid is what you carried the kli. And Rashi over here says, "Sheshogag ala ochlan v'hezed ala kli umay chayev dekatani misa." And what does it mean? It means you're chayev misa on the kli. In other words, if you were bemezed on the kli, so now you're going to be chayev misa because you carried the kli on purpose. So the Gemara says, "Maskif lo Rav Ashi." Rav Ashi asks on this answer of Rav Sheshes, "V'ha'af al hakli katani." It says you're chayev even on the kli. Rashi says, "V'ha'af katani mashma shnei chiyuvin shavin." The way Rashi understands the question is, it's mashma you have two equal chiyuvim, whereas over here you have unequal chiyuvim. On the ochlin you're chayiv a carbon chatas, and on the kli you're chayiv misa. So Rav Ashi gives another answer. Ela Omer Rav Ashi, rather Rav Ashi answers kegon sheshogag bazeh uvazeh. He was shoging in both. V'nodalo v'chazer v'nodalo. But he had the yediyah. There was a separation in the yediyah. First he found out about one isser that he did, and then he found out about the other, and in such a case, you can be chayiv two, according to this answer of Rav Ashi, uveplugs of Rav Yochanan and Rav Shimon Lakish. And Rav Ashi here, in giving this answer, is getting involved in the machlokus between Rav Yochanan and Rav Shimon Lakish earlier in the Masechta about Yedias Mechalkos. Rashi here explains, uveplugs of Rav Yochanan and Rav Lakish, the ifluge b'Yedias Mechalkos, bePeraklal Gadol and Peraklal Gadol, they argue about Yedias Mechalkos, ifluge nami Rav Sheshes Rav Ashi. That's actually the same machlokas right here between Rav Sheshes and Rav Ashi. Hacha Rav Sheshes the lo muki lo hachi. Rav Sheshes, who didn't give this answer of Rav Ashi, kasavar de'en yedias mechalkos, he's going to hold that yedias are not mechalkos. But Rav Ashi savar yedias mechalkos, and Rav Ashi, who gives this second answer right here, he holds yedias mechalkos. The Gemara now quotes the Mishnah. The Mishnah said, "As hachai b'mita pater af alamita." If a person carries a living being on the bed, then he's pater even on the bed. And the logic of the Mishnah was chai no seis atzmo, living beings carry themselves. So the Gemara says, "Leim masnis and Rabbi Nasan ivelo Rabbanan." Let us say the Mishnah follows Rabbi Nasan and not the Rabbanan. The Tanya we learned in a brayso, "Hamotzi behem chayiv ofel Rosh Hashanah bein chayin uvein shchutin chayiv." According to Tanakam, if a person carries animals to Rosh Hashanah, whether the animals are alive or dead, he's chayiv. Presumably, this Tanakama does not hold chai no seis atzmo, that a living being carries itself. Rather, you're really carrying it, so you're chayiv for carrying on Shabbos. Rabbi Nasan says, "Al shchutin chayiv," on dead animals you're chayiv, "Al chayin pater." But if the animal's alive, you're pater. Shahachay no seis atzmo, because living beings carry themselves, and therefore it seems that the Mishnah, which also seems to hold chay no seis atzmo, follows the opinion of Rabbi Nasan. Amar Rava says, "Afilo temer Rabbanan." You could say that our Mishnah follows the sheet of the Rabbanan in this brayso. Ad kan lo pligi Rabbanan led Rabbi Nasan el bebehemo chayiv ha'oft misharveti nafshayu. The Rabbanan only said you're chayiv when you carry live animals, when we're talking about animals, because they're misharveti nafshayu. Rashi says that means mishamtin klape mata. They tend themselves towards the ground. They push themselves downward. Umachbiden atzman lahashmit miyad hanosan. They make themselves heavy, try to escape the person carrying them. So when it comes to animals, we don't apply the principle of chay no seis atzma according to Rabbanan. Aval adam, but when it comes to people, chay de no seis atzma afilu Rabbanan modu. Even the Rabbanan would admit that a living human would help to carry, would assist in the carrying, and therefore you carry a living human being, you actually would not be chayiv. Amar le Ravada bar Ava le Rava. So now Ravada bar Ava says to Rava, "V'hatetanan." What about the Mishnah which says, "Ben beseira matir besus"? Ben beseira allows the sale of horses. We'll see Rashi exactly what it means. V'tanya ben beseira, and we learned in a brayso that ben beseira matir besus, he allows by horses, mipnei shu osa bo malacha she'in chayav and olav chatas, because a horse does a malacha which if a human would do that malacha, meaning carrying other humans, apparently, you wouldn't be chayav a chatas on that. V'amar Rabbi Yochanan said an ben beseira shita ben beseira Rabbi Nasan amru davar echad, that ben beseira and Rabbi Nasan really they all agree. They're of one shita. Essentially, ben beseira holds like Rabbi Nasan. So the Gemara is going to get to the kasha, but first let's see exactly what's going on over here with ben beseira shita. Rashi explains matir besus lemochro lenachri. Ben beseira says that you can sell a horse to a non-Jew. Mipnei shemeleches hasus im haya adamoso. So because of the work that a horse does, which is really carrying humans, so if a person would do that malacha, ein chayiv alachatas, you wouldn't be chayiv achatas. To l'rechiva omer, because what's a horse used for? It's used for riding on. V'hachai no seis atzma, and living beings carry themselves. Here we're explaining Ben Beseira's opinion. There's an isser to sell large animals to non-Jews. Why? Mishum she'elo mishum schirus. Because we're afraid that if you sell it to non-Jews, maybe one time you'll loan it or you'll rent it to non-Jews. And then the issue is that the non-Jew is going to do malacha with that animal on Shabbos, and there's an isser that your animal shouldn't do malacha on Shabbos. So mishum she'elo mishum schirus aser. The reason why it's aser to sell is because you might end up lending it or renting it. V'sus, and so the point of Ben Beseira is when it comes to a horse, inami demosha l'moger, even if you would lend or rent the animal, lavi surah doraisa, you could, even if the non-Jew would do a malacha with the horse on Shabbos, that's not an isur doraisa. Shein zu malacha it's lasus. Number one, it's not a malacha by the sus. V'gabe, with the malacha that's being done. V'gabe as horas shvisas behema malacha, because it has to be a real malacha. Over here, where the sus is just carrying humans, that's not a real malacha. And the whole isser of shvisas behema is by real malacha, and that's why Ben Beseira says you can sell a horse to a non-Jew, it's not a problem, because even if the horse was going to do malacha on Shabbos, it's not a real malacha. So the issue over here is, as the Gemara says now Rabbi Yochanan said that Ben Beseira is following Rabbi Nosson that Chai no seis atzmo. That makes sense. Rabbi Nosson does say Chai no seis atzmo. But the Gemara now says, V'i amr to lo pligi Rabbanan led Rabbi Nosson. If you're going to tell me that the Rabbanan don't even argue with Rabbi Nosson, everybody agrees Chai no seis atzmo. Elo bebehema chayv of. The only disagreement is by animals. Mishum de mesharveti nafshah, because animals lower themselves. That's the one place where the Rabbanan don't apply the principle of Chai no seis atzmo. My area Ben Beseira of Rabbi Nosson. What is Rabbi Yochanan saying that Ben Beseira holds like Rabbi Nosson? We just said everybody agrees with Rabbi Nosson. Everybody agrees Chai no seis atzmo. So the Gemara really here is going a long way. Rav Ada bar Rava, speaking to Rava, is going a long distance to ask on the principle that Rava just said. Rava had just said that the Rabbanan basically don't disagree with Rabbi Nosson when it comes to humans, and Rabbi Yochanan, in saying that Ben Beseira follows Rabbi Nosson, is implying that the Rabbanan do agree. So the Gemara says as follows. The Gemara says, Ki Amar Rabbi Yochanan. When did Rabbi Yochanan make his statement with regards, when he said that Ben Beseira holds like Rabbi Nosson, what did he mean? He meant Besus hamiyuchad la'ofos. He meant a horse that is designated to carry birds. A very strange case. But basically what Rabbi Yochanan was saying was, look, Ben Beseira said you're allowed to sell any kind of horse, whether it's a horse that's meant for humans or whether it's a horse that's meant for birds. Presumably that's because a horse that carries birds is also not doing a malach on Shabbos, because we apply Chai no seis atzmo to the birds. And if we apply Chai no seis atzmo to the birds, that's what Rabbi Yochanan was saying, that Rabbi Nosson and Ben Beseira are saying the same thing. So the Gemara then says, is there such a thing as a horse that's designated to carry birds? It sounds ridiculous. The Gemara says, in Ika de Veidan, there is. It's the horses of Veidan. Rashi will explain what that means right here. Rashi says, V'yamar Rabbi Yochanan Garcinan de Veidan shall Saide Ofos. This was a group of people who captured birds. They were hunters. Shenozen al Hasus Ofos Kashen Chayin. And they would take live birds and put them on the horse, and that was a way of trying to trap other birds. So that's exactly this case. These birds are alive, and they're lo masharvati nafshayu, and that's why it seems that Ben Beseira and Rabbi Nosson are saying the same thing. The Gemara now continues. Amar Rabbi Yochanan says, "Umod Rabbi Nosson bekapos." Rabbi Nosson admits, even though Rabbi Nosson says a principle of Chai no seis atzmo, he admits when it comes to kapos. Rashi says, "Bekapos bein of bein adam." Whether you're talking about birds, whether you're talking about people, even though Rabbi Nosson normally says a Chai no seis atzmo, a Chai assists in being carried around, but if the Chai, whether humans or birds or whatever it is, or whether it's animals, is tied up, so in such a case they really can't assist at all because they're tied up. They can't help in their own transport. So Amar le Rav Ada bar Masna la Abaye. Rav Ada bar Masna says to Abaye, V'hahani parsoi. What about the Persians? Techaman dechvisi damu. They're basically as if they're tied up. V'yamar Rabbi Yochanan. Rabbi Yochanan said, Ben Beseira Rabbi Nosson Amar davar echad. Ben Beseira and Rabbi Nosson said the same thing. Meaning, if you're going to sell your horse to Persians, which presumably Ben Beseira said would be okay as well, that's okay. But the Persians, they are as if they're tied up. Rashi will explain what that means. But it's as if they're tied up the way that they conduct themselves when they're riding on horses, and yet you're allowed to. So apparently, even kapos, we say Chai no seis atzmo. That's the Gemara's kasha. Gemara over here says, "Keman dechvisi damu sherochvim u'tafin bebegadim rechavim." The Persians used to ride horses; they would be wrapped up with wide clothing. Plus, they were very reluctant to do anything of riding on the ground. They were mu'unagim. They treated themselves pleasurably, so to speak. And so the Persians should be considered as if they're tied up. And how can you sell? How can you say you could sell if we don't apply the principle of chay noses atzma to the Persians? So the Gemara says it's different over there. Hasam remos ruchahu denakitlu. When it comes to the Persians, it's not that they can't assist in being carried. They have a certain arrogance, a certain haughtiness. But really, they really are very capable and quite capable of carrying themselves. Dahu pardashcha derasach malka ilave v'roat tlasa parse bekari. There was once, Rashi says, pardashcha is a sardiot. It's like a general or an officer, and so he was the king got angry at him, and he walked 3 parsas on his legs. So you see that they have the capability of running. It's just that sometimes they act arrogantly and they don't. Rashi says, Remos rucha gasos, they're arrogant. Hadlo maska bekarayo gasos. The reason they don't walk on their legs, the reason why they ride around on horses, is just a certain arrogance. Rashi over here says in the last case, Ben Meseches Rabbi Nasan Amar Davar Echad. Didn't you just say that Rabbi Nasan admits by kapos? We only said we're talking about a horse designated for birds. That was to answer for the Rabbanan. Everybody agrees by people. Now, if Rabbi Nasan admits when they're tied up, how does Ben Beseira follow Rabbi Nasan? The Ben Beseira says you can even sell the horses to Persians. And when it comes to Persians, it's almost the way they move, meaning barely, is as if they tied up. And they're called Nachram also. Doesn't that imply that even tied up is considered Noses Atzma, is considered assisting and helping in the carrying? Then the Gemara quotes the Mishnah, we had our machlokas at the end of the Mishnah, when you carry around the dead. So according to the Tanakama, you're chayiv, but according to Rabbi Shimon, we say it's a malacha sheina tzricha legufa, and you're potter. And the Gemara says, Amar Rav Bar Brachana, Amar Rabbi Yochanan, V'Amar Rav Yosef, Amar Rabbi Shimon ben Lakish, potter hoyer Rabbi Shimon. Rabbi Bar Brachana says in the name of Rabbi Yochanan, and Rabbi Yosef says in the name of Reish Lakish, that Rabbi Shimon says potter, and the Gemara will continue on Daf Tzadi Daled and Beis to say to what extent Rabbi Shimon says potter. We'll see that in the next video.